There is a presence that moves through all things. A divine intelligence, a sacred force, a whisper that guides not with commands or fear, but with love, with light, and with truth. This presence is the Holy Spirit, and it is not somewhere out there. It is within you. Right now, always. To walk with the Holy Spirit is not about adopting rituals or doctrines. It's about returning to your true nature. It's remembering who you were before the world told you who you should be. It's stepping out of the noise of the ego with all its demands, fears, and expectations, and stepping into the quiet certainty of divine guidance. The Holy Spirit doesn't shout, it doesn't force, it gently nudges, it whispers, go this way, be still, choose love. And when we slow down, when we silence the endless chatter in our minds, we begin to hear this sacred voice more clearly. Every time you act from compassion instead of judgment, you are walking with the Spirit. Every time you forgive instead of holding on to pain, you are allowing the Spirit to work through you. Every time you trust when there's no evidence, when you surrender control and say, guide me, you are aligning with divine power. There is no separation between you and this holy presence. The illusion of separation is created by fear, by the belief that you are alone, small, or unworthy. But the truth is, you are never alone. You are connected to something vast, infinite, and loving. You are part of it, and it is part of you. Walking with the Holy Spirit is a choice you make in every moment. It's the choice to move from fear to love, from doubt to faith, from resistance to surrender. It's not a path of perfection, it's a path of presence, a path of remembering again and again that divine wisdom lives within you, not outside of you. When you are angry, ask, is this how the Spirit would have me respond? When you are lost, ask, what would love have me do? The answers may not come in thunder and lightning. They often come as a quiet knowing, a sense of peace, a gentle pull toward the next right step. And as you begin to trust that inner guidance, your life transforms. Struggles become lessons. Pain becomes a portal to healing. You begin to see others not as enemies or obstacles, but as fellow souls on the same journey. You realize you don't have to control everything. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. The Holy Spirit walks with you. And in that awareness, you are free. So I invite you now, pause, breathe, listen. Allow yourself to be guided, not by fear, not by force, but by the sacred flow of divine love. Walk with the Spirit and know that you are exactly where you need to be. The journey is not about getting somewhere, it's about being fully present. Right here, right now, with the one who walks beside you and within you. Always. Let your life become a sacred dance with Spirit, each step infused with grace, each verse a prayer, each moment. The Holy Spirit lives within you, not as a distant abstract concept, but as the very essence of who you truly are. This divine presence is not reserved for saints, prophets, or mystics. It is alive in every being, waiting to be acknowledged, embraced, and lived through. You do not have to search far and wide to find it. You don't need to climb mountains or travel to sacred temples to experience its power. The truth is, the Holy Spirit has always been with you, quietly guiding, loving, and supporting you through every step of your life. This inner presence is not loud or forceful. It does not demand or control. It moves gently, like a breeze, often unnoticed by the mind, but deeply felt by the soul. Many people search outside themselves for signs, validation, and direction, forgetting that the most reliable guidance comes from within. When you tune in, when you silence the noise of the external world and the constant chatter of the ego, you begin to sense the still, small voice of the Holy Spirit. It speaks through intuition, through a sense of peace, through sudden clarity in the midst of confusion. It is not found in fear or guilt, but in love, in stillness, in grace. To recognize that the Holy Spirit lives within you is to awaken to your divine nature. You are not merely flesh and bone, not a random collection of thoughts and experience. At your core, you are spirit, and that spirit is one with the Holy Spirit. You are an expression of the divine, a unique note in the symphony of creation. And because of this, you have access to divine wisdom, power, and peace at all times. You were never meant to walk through life feeling disconnected or alone. The very source of life, of love, of truth, dwells within your being. When you become aware of this inner presence, your life begins to shift. You start to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as a co-creator of your experience, guided by a power far greater than your individual self. You begin to act not out of fear or habit, but from a deeper knowing, a place of truth that exists beyond the thinking mind. In every decision, every challenge, every interaction, the Holy Spirit is there, offering guidance, insight, and love. Living from this awareness transforms how you see others as well. When you recognize the Holy Spirit within yourself, you begin to see it in others too. You no longer judge them by appearances, by their actions, or their past. You see beyond the surface, beyond the roles and identities, into the divine spark that lives in every person. Compassion naturally arises. Forgiveness becomes easier. Connection deepens. You understand that we are all extensions of the same Spirit, all walking each other home. This inner presence is also a source of strength when life feels heavy, when uncertainty clouds your path, when fear begins to rise. The Holy Spirit within you offers peace that surpasses understanding. It reminds you that you are held, that you are guided, that no matter what happens externally, you are never alone. In moments of silence, in prayer, in simple awareness, you can return to this truth again and again. You don't have to become someone else to experience the Holy Spirit. You don't have to be perfect or have it all figured out. You simply have to turn inward, to become present, and to listen. The Spirit has always been there, patiently waiting for you to remember your divine origin. It is in your breath, your heartbeat, your very being. It is the love that never leaves, the wisdom that never fails, and the light that never dims. Guidance comes through stillness and trust. In a world filled with constant noise, distractions, and demands, it's easy to believe that clarity and direction must be chased or fought for. But true guidance, the kind that brings peace, certainty, and alignment with your highest self, does not come from struggle or mental effort. It arises naturally in moments of stillness, when the mind becomes quiet and the heart open. In that sacred space, you begin to hear the whispers of the divine, the gentle voice of the Holy Spirit, leading you not with force, but with grace. Stillness is not about inactivity. It is a state of inner presence, where you let go of the need to analyze, compare, or control. In stillness, you are fully here, not lost in the past, or projecting into the future. You rest in awareness, in the now, where the mind softens and the soul speaks. The Holy Spirit does not compete for your attention. It waits patiently, ready to guide you the moment you become receptive, the moment you surrender the need to figure everything out and allow yourself to simply be. Trust is essential in this process. Trust means letting go of the ego's need for certainty and control. It means allowing guidance to emerge in its own time, in its own way, even when it doesn't match your expectations. When you trust, you no longer rely solely on your limited understanding or logic. You open to a higher intelligence, a deeper knowing that transcends the thinking mind. You realize that you don't have to have all the answers right now. You just need to take the next step, and then the next, guided by a quiet assurance that you are on the right path. Often the guidance you seek is already within you, but it becomes drowned out by the noise of fear, doubt, and constant mental activity. That's why stillness is so powerful. It clears the clutter. It allows you to discern the voice of the Spirit from the voice of the ego. The ego pushes, pressures, and demands. The Spirit invites, encourages, and inspires. The more you practice stillness, whether through meditation, time in nature, prayer, or simply moments of pause throughout your day, the more familiar you become with this inner guidance system. In stillness, you come to recognize the subtle nudges, the gentle promptings that guide you toward choices aligned with love, truth, and peace. These nudges may not always make sense to the rational mind, but they carry a feeling of rightness, a sense of calm and certainty. When you trust these impressions, you begin to live in flow rather than force. You move with life instead of against it. This kind of trust also means being comfortable with the unknown. Guidance often unfolds step by step, not all at once. You may not see the entire path ahead, but when you trust the spirit within, you realize that you don't need to. You only need to be present, to listen, and to follow where love leads. Even delays and detours are part of the journey, designed to teach, to refine, to deepen your connection to the divine. Ultimately, guidance through stillness and trust reconnects you to your true self, the part of you that is wise, loving, and at peace. It reminds you that you are not alone, that a divine presence walks with you always, offering direction, comfort, and strength. When you cultivate stillness and live with trust, life becomes less about striving and more about allowing. You begin to move through the world with grace, with ease, and with a deep knowing that you are guided by a power greater than yourself, yet intimately a part of you. Walking with the Spirit means choosing love over fear in every thought, every word, and every action. It is a moment-to-moment practice, not a one-time decision. Each day presents countless opportunities to make this choice between reacting from fear or responding with love, between closing off or opening up, between resisting life or flowing with it. The Holy Spirit, the divine presence within you, is always guiding you toward love. Fear may shout loudly and demand your attention, but love speaks softly, inviting you to return to your true self. Fear manifests in many forms: anger, judgment, worry, control, doubt, and the belief that you are separate from others, from life, and from the divine. It is rooted in the illusion that you are alone and must protect, defend, and struggle to survive. Fear contracts your heart, narrows your vision, and keeps you trapped in old patterns. Love, on the other hand, expands. It frees you, it softens your defenses, and allows you to see yourself and others through the eyes of compassion and unity. Choosing love means releasing the need to be right, to win, to control outcomes. It means trusting that there is a higher plan at work and that you are safe within it. When you walk with the Spirit, you begin to see fear for what it truly is, not a warning sign, but a signal that you have forgotten your divine connection. Love is the reminder. It is the truth that dissolves fear's illusions and brings you back into alignment with the sacred. There is incredible power in a simple pause. When fear arises, when you feel triggered, anxious, or angry, you can pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what would love do now? That question opens the door to divine guidance. It shifts your attention from reaction to presence. It allows the Holy Spirit to move through you, offering you a higher perspective, one that sees beyond appearances and into the heart of the matter. Love does not mean passivity or weakness. It does not mean ignoring injustice or pretending everything is fine. Love is courageous. It is the willingness to see clearly, to speak truth, and to act from a place of integrity and kindness. When you choose love, you are not avoiding fear, you are transcending it. You are refusing to let fear dictate your choices or define your reality. Walking with the Spirit and choosing love also means loving yourself fully, unconditionally, without judgment. Fear often takes the form of self-criticism, shame, or the belief that you are not enough. But the Holy Spirit within you knows the truth. You are already whole, already worthy, already loved.
When you choose love, you begin to treat yourself with the same compassion and understanding that you would offer to someone you deeply care for. And from that inner love, your ability to love others naturally grows. In relationships, love over fear means listening more than defending, forgiving instead of holding grudges, and being willing to see the light in others, even when it's hidden behind pain or anger. It means creating space for healing, for connection, and for growth. When love is your guide, you no longer seek to change others to feel safe. You simply offer your presence, your acceptance, and your peace. The path of love is not always easy, but it is always true. Fear may promise safety, but love offers freedom. Fear may offer control, but love brings trust. As you walk with the Spirit and choose love over fear, your life begins to transform. You experience more peace, more joy, and a deeper sense of purpose. You realize that every act of love, no matter how small, is a reflection of the divine, a ripple that extends far beyond what you can see. In choosing love, you become a vessel of grace, a living expression of the Spirit, and a light in the world. There is no separation between you and the divine. This truth, though often obscured by layers of belief, conditioning, and fear, lies at the heart of your being. From the moment you were born, and even before you have been one with the source of all life. The divine is not a distant force, not a being in the sky watching from afar. It is the very breath you breathe, the presence within your heart, the intelligence that beats your heart and animates every cell of your body. The divine lives in you, through you, and as separation is an illusion created by the mind, it is the result of identifying with the ego, the false self that believes it is alone, vulnerable, and incomplete. The ego tells you that you must strive to reach God, to earn love, to be worthy of divine connection. It convinces you that the divine is outside of you, something to seek, to worship, or to fear. But in truth, you cannot be separate from that which created you. You are made of the same essence. You are a wave in the ocean of divinity, never apart, never isolated, but always connected, always part of the whole. When you begin to awaken to this truth, everything changes. You no longer see yourself as lacking or broken. You begin to recognize the sacred in your own reflection and in the eyes of everyone you meet. You realize that the divine expresses itself uniquely through you, not because you are special or chosen, but because that is the nature of creation. The divine delights in expressing through form, through life, through experience, and you are one of its most beautiful expressions. This awareness brings deep peace because it ends the search. So many people spend their lives seeking purpose, seeking love, but the seeking itself often reinforces the belief in separation. When you realize that what you are seeking is already within you, you can stop running and begin to rest in presence. You can let go of striving and begin to allow. The divine is not something to achieve, it is something to remember. And in remembering, you return to yourself. You are never alone, not truly, even in your darkest moments, even when you feel lost or abandoned. The divine is with you because it is. The pain of separation comes from forgetting, from believing the illusion that you are cut off from the source. But no matter how far you feel you have strayed, you are always held in love, always surrounded by grace. The divine does not judge or punish. It simply waits for you to turn inward and recognize what has always been true. This realization also dissolves the walls you have built between yourself and others. If there is no separation between you and the divine, then there is no separation between you and anyone else. The same light that lives in you lives in all beings. The same presence that guides your life guides the lives of. When you look beyond appearances, beyond race, religion, status, or behavior, you begin to see the divine everywhere. you begin to live in unity, in compassion, in love, living with the awareness that there is no separation, is liberating. You no longer need to prove yourself, to earn love, or to fear rejection. You are already one with the highest, and nothing can change that. Your worth is inherent, your value eternal. The divine lives through you, as creativity, as kindness, as intuition, as joy. You are not a separate self, trying to connect with God. You are God in expression, learning to see through the eyes of love, to live with purpose, and to remember the truth of who you are. Letting go of control and surrendering to divine flow is one of the most profound shifts you can make in your life. Control is rooted in fear, the fear that if you don't manage, manipulate, or force outcomes, life will fall apart. The ego thrives on control because it believes it knows what's best, and it fears the unknown. But control is exhausting. It creates tension, anxiety, and resistance. It disconnects you from the present moment and blinds you to the greater wisdom that is always available when you surrender. Surrender is not about giving up or becoming passive. It is not about accepting defeat or resigning yourself to fate. Surrender is a powerful act of trust. It is the conscious decision to release your tight grip on how things should be and open yourself to how things truly are. It is aligning yourself with the flow of life, which is guided by divine intelligence, far beyond what the mind can comprehend. There is a natural rhythm to life, a flow that carries everything forward in perfect harmony. Trees do not strive to grow, rivers do not force their way to the ocean, the stars do not control their orbits. All of nature surrenders to the flow, and in doing so, it expresses the fullness of life effortlessly. You are part of that same natural order. When you let go of control, you begin to experience life as it was meant to be, filled with ease, grace, and synchronicity. Surrender means trusting that the universe is always working in your favor, even when circumstances seem difficult or confusing. It means understanding that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to figure everything out. You simply need to take one step at a time, listen to your inner guidance, and allow life to unfold. Divine flow is always moving toward your highest good, but to experience, you must release resistance and allow yourself to be carried. Letting go of control requires humility, the humility to recognize that there is a greater plan, a greater intelligence at work. Your personal will, as powerful as it may seem, is limited by your perceptions and experiences, but divine will sees the whole picture. What seems like a setback may actually be a setup for something greater. What feels like a loss may open the door to unexpected blessings. When you surrender, you allow space for miracles to occur. This surrender is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. It's in the small moments when you release the need to force a conversation, control a relationship, or fix a problem. It's in the quiet acceptance of things as they are without needing to change them immediately. It's in the willingness to sit with uncertainty and trust that clarity will come. In these moments, you begin to feel the peace that comes from releasing your burden and placing it in the hands of the divine. Surrender also means letting go of your attachment to outcomes. The ego wants guarantees, wants to know how and when things will happen. But divine flow doesn't operate on the ego's timeline. It moves in its own time, in its own way, with perfect timing. When you detach from specific outcomes and trust in the process, you open yourself to receive more than you could have imagined. The universe often has plans far greater than your limited vision. In letting go, you discover freedom. You are no longer trapped by fear, anxiety, or the illusion of control. You become a channel for divine energy, a vessel through which love, peace, and creativity.
Life becomes less about striving and more about being present, being open, being aligned. Surrender is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength. The strength to live in harmony with the infinite and allow your life to be guided by the wisdom that knows the way. Life becomes sacred when lived in alignment with spirit. This alignment is not something you achieve by effort or external accomplishment. It is a return to your natural state of being, a state in which every moment, every action, and every breath is infused with awareness, presence, and connection to the divine within you. When you live in alignment with spirit, life is no longer a series of random events or struggles to be endured. Instead, life becomes a sacred unfolding, a journey of meaning, purpose, and grace. The sacred is not limited to certain places, rituals, or occasions. It is not found only in temples, churches, or during moments of prayer. The sacred exists everywhere, in all things, because spirit exists everywhere. When you align with spirit, you begin to see the divine in the ordinary. Washing the dishes, walking in nature, speaking with a loved one, all of these become acts of devotion when done with presence and love. There is no task too small, no moment too insignificant to be holy when you are awake to the truth of your divine connection. Living in alignment with spirit means listening deeply to the inner voice that guides you, not the voice of the ego that demands, fears, or compares, but the quiet, loving voice that always points you toward peace and wholeness. This voice does not command or control, it gently reminds you of who you are and how you are meant to show up in the world. It guides you to live authentically, to speak truth, to act with compassion, and to extend love even in the face of challenge. As you attune to this guidance and begin to live from it, your perception of the world changes. You see synchronicities, moments of divine timing that assure you that you are supported and loved. You notice beauty more easily, the light through the trees, the kindness in a stranger's smile, the stillness of a quiet morning. These are not coincidences, they are signs of the sacred flow of life moving through you and all around you. This alignment also brings a profound sense of peace. When you live in harmony with spirit, you are no longer caught in the endless striving for more success, more approval, more possessions. Instead, you feel whole, right here and now. You trust that you are exactly where you need to be and that everything you need will come to you at the right time. This trust dissolves anxiety and replaces it with serenity. It allows you to meet each moment with openness and curiosity rather than fear or resistance. Your relationships also become sacred when lived in alignment with spirit. You begin to see others not as separate beings, but as fellow souls on the same journey. Compassion arises naturally because you recognize yourself in them. You are no longer driven by judgment or the need to be right. Instead, you seek connection, understanding, and love. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to express the divine, to serve, to uplift, and to heal. Living in alignment with spirit doesn't mean life will be free of challenges, but it does mean that you will face those challenges with a deep inner strength and clarity, knowing that you are never alone and that everything has purpose. Even difficulties become part of the sacred path, offering lessons, growth, and opportunities to deepen your connection with the divine. Ultimately, life lived in alignment with spirit is a life of joy, not fleeting pleasure, but true joy that comes from within, from the knowing that you are living in truth, in love, in unity with all that is. Every breath, every step, every word becomes a prayer, a celebration of life itself. This is the sacredness that arises when you remember who you are, a divine being living a divine life in constant communion with the Spirit that flows through all things.